Hello and welcome to coverage of Grand Prix Providence. I'm Marshall Sutcliffe in the booth with Jacob Van Luden. We've got a nice one for round 4 here. Oliver Polak-Rottmann versus Gerry Thompson. Oliver, of course, is the Austrian World Magic Cup captain. We will be seeing him in a few weeks in Rotterdam. He's also got 4 GP top 8s, including a win in Utrecht 2014. His opponent, Gerry T. He top 8'd Pro Tour Gate Crash 3 years ago now, by the way. Doesn't feel like that, but it was 3 years ago. Yep. And he's got 10 GP top 8s, including wins in both Denver and Nashville. He's also just one of the more well-respected brewers, players, writers.
He's been one of the game's greatest deck designers for more than a decade.
Yeah, he's great.
And I think he's really become one of the game's most well-respected writers as well.
He really has. He's also just a fan favorite. I mean, you know, he's done streams, he's written his articles, he worked at Wizards. I mean, this guy's just lived the Magic lifestyle and really embraced it for a long time now. And he really is a highlight. I love watching Gerry play.
If there's anybody who can do a Shota impersonation, I'd think it would be Gerry.
Is that what we're seeing here? Maybe you could find his deck list over there and get a little bit more insight. It is looking like he's on straight up Grixis. Oh yeah, that's Painful Truth right there too. Well, this could be painful indeed. Gerry's all the way down to 14 here. And he's going to be taking 5 damage next turn. He's going to need to find some answers pretty quickly here. In fact, he's actually had to go to discard already.
You usually want to play as many cards as you can before using your card draw spells, but...
we saw, by the way, we saw Shota play this deck, or at least a version of it. I don't know how much Gerry's changed it, but at the Pro Tour, well, he won.
Yeah.
But also, we saw him do that a lot. Discard to hand size. Like, I don't think he had a big issue with it. He was just like, yeah, whatever. I'll just, you know, if this is the turn I'm going to cast my Painful Truth, this is the turn to cast it, and if I have to discard, then so be it.
It's more important to sculpt than it is to grind card for card in this format.
Exactly. Thompson needs to find something quickly. He's in a really bad spot because he wants a Radiant Flames away the board, but the Selfless Spirit lets Oliver keep around the Thraben Inspectors and keep that Smuggler's Copter in the sky. Well, oh, wow, this is a real beating. Gerry does, in fact, cast Radiant Flames, but not only does it not get countered by the Selfless Spirit, it was actually a Spell Queller from Oliver, and that's going to prompt a concession. Like, that was it. Game time. So a little rough there for Gerry. You can see a look on his face like, yeah, all right, let's go to the sideboard here. And yeah, he's playing against the white-blue Flash deck. Now, Jake, I know you are a particular fan of this deck. You think it's really good?
I think it's really, really good. For a lot of the reasons that we saw there. When the blue-white Flash deck gets ahead, it's so hard to beat it. You know, it just stays ahead so well. Cards like Spell Queller. It's just so easy to use all of its mana. It's to use all of your mana more efficiently than your opponent. So you just keep piling on. And cards like Stasis Snare and Spell Queller and Counter Magic in general all are really good at forcing the issue and letting you choose whether or not you want to advance your board or interact with what they're trying to do to catch up.
Well, Alex looks like he went a little deep here. 4-color control with a Dynavolt Tower on the battlefield. You can see his graveyard has a Painful Truths and a Harness Lightning as well as an Evolving Wild. So that's kind of interesting. On the other side, Joshua is on Bant Spirit, and it looks like he's got a Tameo now up to 7 loyalty, and he's just attacking with Lumbering Falls, which Alex is kind of getting thumped by here, it looks like.
Yeah, Lumbering Falls seems really good against these new control decks.
Yeah.
Like I was looking at this, and I was like, whoa, that card is something else against them.
Yeah, they just can't do anything about it, and their deck is slow. It takes a really long time to make enough lightning bolts off Dynavolt Tower to just get your opponent dead. All right, here's a nice one, though, for Alex. With the shields down from Josh, he's going to make Nissa turn one of his lands into a 5/5 and attack Tamiyo. So she was up to 7 loyalty, now back down to 2. There's an ether hub there for Josh. Good swing there for Alex.
It's still looking like these lands could pose a problem.
Ooh, stasis snare though. Remember, that land stays a creature until Alex's next turn, so yes, it is targetable by that. So Josh is going to take down that land right now while the window's open to do so, and then pass the turn back with 4 mana available.
I guess Alex can, get a nice Nissa activation here, and he also has 4 mana untapped to do with what he will, but still under a lot of pressure here.
Yeah, we'll see how it
Tamiyo.
goes too, because he is behind a bit on mana. You can see that Josh has 7 lands, and Alex just lost one of his 5 to that stasis snare. He's going to anticipate. He may be trying to get enough energy here to just shoot down Tamiyo.
Which doesn't seem like it would be that hard to do,
No,
all things considered.
just needs one more energy.
Once he's able to do that, he may be activating this Nissa again. I mean, one of the major issues with that, though, is that, again, it makes your lands more susceptible to removal. And I think one of Josh's, routes to victory here is by, stifling Alex's mana development.
Okay, let's see if Josh has something here, because it's a Rattle Chains, which is going to keep Tamiyo alive if Josh wants to chump block. Oh, but wait, there's more. A Mausoleum Wanderer as well. It looks like he's just going to chump with that one and keep Rattle Chains up to pressure Nissa, or maybe even just Alex's life total directly. He is down to 9. Alex has just so far said, okay.
Yeah, it's
Ooh, Alex has just passed the turn back.
close to that point where your opponent's life total is the same as the loyalty on their planeswalker, in
Yeah.
which case you should be going for the life total in most cases.
Josh is going to plus Nissa, plus Tamiyo, and attack with Rattle Chains. Ooh, but there's an Archangel Avacyn in response. Now, this is a little interesting, too, because Alex put the energy counters up already from the Dynavolt tower from that Galvanic Bombardment, but, Josh could make the argument that no, you actually don't have those yet. But he didn't. Because Josh has the ability to respond. Ah, we see why. He's got a nice one here. He's got a Selfless Spirit. And he's just going to flash that in thanks to Rattle Change and then sacrifice it to give everybody Indestructible. Still, I think if I was Josh, I would have said, now hold on a second. Galvanic Bombardment's on the stack. Trigger for Dynavolt Tower's on the stack. Now I'm going to play my Avacyn.
I mean, he could have said, that trigger resolves,
Yeah.
and now I'm playing my Avacyn. We don't really know how it was communicated, but hypothetically it could have been communicated either way.
Okay, well, our other match, it has started, but I want to stay here for just another minute to see how this next turn goes for Alex Hayne, because we could see it either turn around for him pretty significantly, or we could see it kind of slip away from him as we have these last couple of turns. I think we'll have a better idea. And if you want to keep up on what's going on in that first match, we will be there in just a minute, and then also it's in the lower right hand of your screen. Now, Avacyn should be transforming here, right? was hard to say exactly what was on the stack when it went, but as far as I saw, Avison was in play, and then the Selfless Spirit got flashed in and sacrificed after that, right?
No, I believe that it was before the Avison came into play because the tower was in response to the Avison.
Yeah, but it could have been in
Tower
response to the
activation.
Avison trigger.
It could have been.
That's what I'm saying. That's how I
Yeah,
thought
yeah.
I saw it, just because Avison was on the battlefield, though. You know how it is from the booth view. That also could just be sitting on the stack
Yeah.
waiting to resolve. So that must have been
It has a lot to do
What
with
happened?
what was said at the table.
exactly.
We don't know that, yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, Alex has unlicensed disintegration, and he's going to take down Avison and then redirect the 3 damage. There's that Dynavolt tower, acting, enabling that extra 3 damage from disintegration, and aim it at Tamiyo here. And it looks like he's going to plus Nissa. But he's actually just using it to make an additional mana and play Radiant Flames. And this will actually leave Josh's board fairly wiped here as, well, it looks like he decided not to, but Dynavolt Tower is charged up to Lightning Bolt territory.
Yeah. He could have used that to get the Tamiyo off the table right now, but the Tamiyo doesn't really do that much. This turn, that's, one of the...
He can always respond.
Yeah.
Like he can just see what Josh does, and then, okay, well, if Tamiyo needs to go, then she needs to go, but Alex will always have the ability to.
Yeah, Tamiyo needs help to matter.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, he's not going to want to let her stay on the battlefield for the long term, but for now, she's not doing a ton.
It's one of the biggest problems with that card. You want your 4-mana Planeswalker to be so high impact. And
Indeed. I mean, it's doing good work for Josh here, but I agree. It needs help. Like you said, in this case, Lumbering Falls gets activated, then he's going to plus. And then he's going to get an extra card out of it, which you've seen him do a couple of times already this game.
it is a very, very good card when you're ahead. Alex's deck, it's a very interesting take on the current standard format, right? Because we're so used to seeing decks that are trying to abuse the fact that if you get ahead early, you have this huge advantage. And Alex really is giving that up in a lot of ways, playing this Dynavolt Tower or 4-color control deck, because he can't just get on the board quickly and get a lot of free games for doing that. It doesn't work that way. Like, he's got to work for every single one. And I think that's one of the few things that's holding back Control in this week after the Pro Tour. But, if Control emerges from this tournament as, still very successful, then people are really going to know that this is very much the way Standard is going to be going forward. I can't wait to play lands and say go when I'm having the counterspell stare down part of the game. I'm really hoping it goes that way.
All right, do we see an emblem now from Nissa, which is cool? I was wondering if Alex would go for this. He gets an emblem with whenever a land enters the battlefield under his control, he may draw a card. So landfall, draw a card, you'll have that for the rest of the game. But just as cool, he still has Nissa on the battlefield as well. Mausoleum Wanderer doesn't look super hot here. Well, he's building back his Josh. Hopefully you guys can keep an eye on what's going on in our other game. I just didn't want to leave this one because this has been such an interesting game. We may need to. If it gets a little too crowded on the board state here and it looks like things are going to drag on for a while, then I'll probably send us back to the main match just because it gets to be a little bit much to take in visually. There is a Torrential Gearhulk now, though, for Alexander Hayne. What is he getting back? I see he's got a Harness Lightning. Yeah, there's right there.
It's pretty good.
Looks like he's going to target the Selfless Spirit here.
A nice trick here that Joshua could use. I mean, now he doesn't need to because
Well,
of
do
the
you think that's a
Avacyn,
nice
but
trick too?
That's an even nicer trick.
What was the one you were going to say?
I was going to say you could sacrifice the Selfless Spirit, and it would counter the
Harness Lightning.
the Harness Lightning, which would mean that Alex wouldn't get the energy, so he couldn't save that energy up to use in other ways.
Yeah, he'd still get 2 energy from the Dynavolt trigger, but he wouldn't get energy left over from the Harness Lightning, which is important.
Yeah.
And kind of interestingly, what happened this time was Josh played Avacyn, then countered the Harness Lightning, or attempted to. And that will get him a transform trigger here. Or force the issue here on Alex to take down Avacyn. That's not going to work either because of Selfless Spirit. Guess that means that he can just use 0 from the Harness Lightning. It doesn't counter it. Okay, she's going to transform. It's going to put Alex down to either 1 or it's going to kill Nissa. It looks like she's going to put Alex to 1 and say, all right, Alex, deal with this. Also, it means that Josh has a lot of lethal threats in his deck. You know, all those little tiny flyers, the rattle chains, the, Wanderer, the stuff that we've been seeing out of his deck, all of it's lethal now. And that's a lot of pressure for Alexander Hayne to try to deal with every single creature that Josh plays for the rest of the game. And he doesn't even get 1 turn to do it. It's like you have to kill everything right away, starting with this Avacyn the Purifier. And if you don't, then the game's over.
Especially with those Lumbering Falls in play, because it means that if Joshua is able to, have multiple threats on the same turn, that a board sweeper's not good enough. It's just, it puts Alex in a rough spot. He's really going to have to work for this one.
Looks like Alex is just going to maybe begin what could end up being a race here. No attack from the Gear Hulk.
Interesting.
He's left that back, I'm assuming, to defend against Lumbering Falls.
That would make sense. I mean, he can't use in his speed removal spell to deal with the Lumbering Falls.
That's right. So there is a Galvanic Bombardment in combination with the Dynavolt Tower to kill Avacyn the Purifier. So he answered that question, but there are going to be more. Oh, there's a Stasis Snare. Does he have enough mana to activate the Lumbering Falls as well?
Yes, he has.
I think he does. Now, I think Alex has his own copy of Lumbering Falls somewhere there too, though. If he taps this mana, he will not be able to activate it. So he's going to play Negate on the Stasis Snare here just to keep his Torrential Gear Hulk alive. I think he just figures he'd rather have that than the Lumbering Falls. So that was close.
Yeah, that was really close.
Interestingly, Josh has another one, though that would not leave him enough mana left over to activate his Lumbering Falls. So he may decide to wait on it. He just depends on if he wants to let Alex get another draw step or 2 at it. He's going to actually just play Mausoleum Wanderer, though we see the Dynavolt Tower, though tapped at the moment, is charged and ready to go.
And I can just shoot that right out of the sky if it needs to.
And it does.
Yeah, he's at 1. Everything needs to be dealt with at this point.
Oh, he's also got a Tameo here as well. So lots of stuff coming from Josh, though, as you mentioned, you would hope that this Tameo would have a little bit more of a punch, and getting your opponent dead, getting a creature out of the way, doing something. And currently, she doesn't.
Yeah, your opponent's at 1, and you're able to resolve your Planeswalker top end, and it's not enough to poke through. Or
no, it is close, though. He's going to use it to tap down.
Oh, is it? It is enough, actually, right?
The Gear Hulk.
Because, no, it's
well,
not.
He can't attack.
He doesn't have enough for the Lumbering Falls
right.
anymore, yeah.
So, but he does get the Dynavolt Tower, which could protect his Mausoleum Wanderer, and Alex's blocker on the ground, the Gear Hulk, out of the way for the full turn cycle here. So this could absolutely be enough to push Josh over the top here and pick up a win against Alexander Hayne in game 1. Meanwhile, you can see that our bottom match, it looks like Gerry was able to take that one, and we're going to bring you Game 3 of that. Hopefully, our picture-in-picture isn't too, visually overwhelming at home, but I have actually really been able to enjoy watching this game between Alexander Hayne and Josh Grauman while keeping the corner of my eye down there on Oliver Polak-Rottmann versus Gerry Thompson.
Yeah, Tamio actually turned out to be very, very good here.
Yes. Just not right away. So Alex is going to animate that mountain and attack.
And this, it presents a good question for Josh. Do I want this Planeswalker or do I want this 1/1 flyer? And the 1/1 flyer, Alex said 1. You got to want that 1/1 flyer, right?
Oh, yeah.
It's lethal.
That's a lethal threat. Might as well be a 20/20.
Yeah.
Okay, well, Alex has got to have something lined up here. Josh?
Yeah, I think if he activates a Lumbering Falls, though, you have to like his spot there.
Yeah, because Alex has to activate his own Lumbering Falls to block it and have a cheap enough answer to kill Mausoleum Wanderer. And he doesn't have it. Josh Grauman picks up the win in Game 1. Well played, well fought game by both players. That was a sweet one. I really enjoyed that.
Yeah, that was a very good game.
I'm glad we hung around on it, though. That does mean that it's time to switch back to our main match. Oliver Polak-Rottmann from Austria versus Gerry Thompson from the United States. Gerry T dispatched of Oliver in game number 2. And always for the fans, Gerry says, yeah, I'll give you guys the game 3.
Oh, yeah. Give us as much drama as possible.
Indeed.
Make us work for it. I saw in the bottom corner of the screen there, when I was looking at that look-in on this match, that Gerry was also hanging out in a Dynavolt tower.
Really?
Yeah.
Is it main deck?
No, he has a few copies in his sideboard, though. His main deck looks very, very similar to that of Shota.
To Shota Ahsoka's Pro Tour winning standard deck from last weekend.
Even as a single copy of Ceremonious Rejection, which I think is great as a one-off in this format. Basically every deck is going to have targets for you. Having one in your hand when you're on the draw really lets you win games that you just have no business winning at all. Those games where your opponent keeps a hand that's kind of built around a copter. You just take all of their steam away right away.
Are you saying that copters run on steam?
I don't know. What?
Ether.
Ether?
Yeah, they ran on ether.
Huh. Yeah. Interesting.
Yeah. So Oliver's going to have the play again here.
He's got to like his spot.
Where he really wants to be on the play against deck like this.
And the blue-white flash deck, it has so many creatures that have flash. It's pretty good against control decks in general because it can choose when it wants to do the things that the control deck has to interact with. And because of that, it can put heavy strains on the control deck's mana base. And when you're on the play and you get to play your lands first, and you get to decide what order your opponent's going to have to answer threats in, it becomes really hard for the control player to time everything out.
Okay, we are underway in game number 3. It's round 4. We've got many, many more rounds of Standard to bring you today here from Providence. So grab a sandwich and your favorite beverage and hang out with Jake and I. We've also got Luis Scott Vargas and Gabby Sparts on deck to come in and we'll be doing back and forth commentary throughout the course of the weekend. Should be fun.
Absolutely.
The standard format's cool.
I'm excited to see how things have developed since the Pro Tour.
Yeah.
In the world of live Magic.
I just really liked the tone change that we had at the PT to decks that were much more... What is this?
Thing.
Thing in the ice, of course. We had decks that were a little more self-centered. at this last Pro Tour than the one that we did at the one prior, where it was very grindy. You know, these bant mirrors and stuff. I'm still recovering from that one that Luis and I did at the World Championship between Marcio and Brian Braunduin. But these decks are a lot more focused and a lot more linear than those ones. And I like that. I think that that's a cool thing. I don't know that I'd want it to be like this all the time, but I like that it pops up sometimes.
I still feel like these games are very skill intensive. The standard games right now.
Totally.
I mean, there's so much combat math going on.
All right, in the meantime, there's a Selfless Spirit from Rottmann in the first main phase, which allows him to just jam for 5 after having played a Reflector Mage. Reflector Mage is a card that we have really seen kind of fall off the map, but the decks that do play it, it still looks fantastic.
Yeah, I mean, there it was amazing. And Gerry looking like he's doing a decent job holding on here, though.
Luca Nelson, please report to the main stage.
Some mana issues, maybe, though.
You know, Gerry's deck is a full-on 3-color deck. He's got all basics on the battlefield, but all of his colors. And there's that thing in the ice coming back down. In the meantime, the copter's going to get active. Does Gerry have an answer? He does. Second copy of Galvanic Bombardment. Oh, but it's going to be negated by Oliver. And this is the type of game plan that Oliver wants to put forth. He wants to get out a couple of threats and protect them with his cheap counter spells and cheap interactive spells. And negate is certainly one of those. Gerry has now dropped to 9, though. Thing in the ice. Starting to thaw out. Gerry goes land go.
Which leads me to believe that, I mean, if he's got anything, he's got to have an answer for this copter here.
Interesting. You know, it looks like Oliver may have just passed the turn back there.
See, I like that a lot. I mean, when Gerry's passing the turn to you with that much mana open, you know that he has an answer to that copter. So why even bother animating it and letting him use his mana in the best way he possibly could? Instead, you can just pass the turn, and if he wants to spend his mana on a removal spell, then he's going to have to use it on your Reflector Mage, which you'd be much happier with.
Which is exactly what he just did, by the way. Unlicensed Disintegration. Though, with the shields down from Gerry's perspective, for Gerry, Oliver's going to take this turn to still use up his mana and stasis snare away the thing in the ice. He knows how important that card is to the game plan. Now he just needs a creature on the battlefield that he can use to get that copter up and running. As he's really run out of threats here. I mean, his whole board is Smuggler's Copter.
Hey, he played that last turn really well.
Oh, interesting. I think Oliver's passed the turn again, but Gerry will not be deterred. He's just going to run that Torrential Gearhulk out there, and Oliver just says, yeah, okay, whatever, which is a big swing for Thompson, who's fallen behind on life total, but is now flashing back and anticipate, and all of a sudden looking very good as it feels like Oliver's out of gas here.
And I think he may have just found Negate also, which is going to be pretty nice alongside that Gearhulk.
Gearhulk hits pretty hard, too, 5/6.
Look at the size of that thing in relation to those people standing there in the art.
Significantly bigger.
Yeah, I'd expect it to be bigger than a 5/6. That size.
The last call
Yeah.
for the Standard Plus signups. Again, last call for Standard Plus signups.
Okay, here's a painful truth now for Thompson, who plays the land before playing it. This must be an Archangel Avacyn here from Oliver.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh, but Galvanic Bombardment is just going to take that down with the ability on the stack. Oliver's going to go ahead and activate or crew up his copter just in case he wants to chump and get a loot or something.
I don't think Gerry's going to bite on that one. Interesting to note, though, Smuggler's Copter, something people often forget, is that when you block with it, you also get to loot. So if Oliver's looking for a specific card, it may be worthwhile.
Okay, another big hitter here for Oliver. It's Gideon, though. It's going to be met with negate, and this is going to be pretty difficult for Oliver to come back from. Gerry's fallen down to 6 life, but he has a nice big Gear Hulk on the battlefield, and he's got 4 cards in his hand, and he's seen quite a few cards off the top of his library as well, with Anticipate being played twice in the last few turns. You got to figure that his hand is pretty well sculpted here. First things first, though, he's going to attack with the Gear Hulk, knock Oliver down to 5. And there's a Dynavolt Tower, which looks a little late to the game here. You know, getting that thing down early, you can get a ton of counters on it, but at this point, it may take a little while on 0 energy right now for Gerry to get that thing to lightning bolt range. Oh, he may.
Dynavolt Tower is a card that really overperformed for me.
Like out of the board like this, or were you playing the blue-red Dynavolt Tower deck?
Out of the board. You bring it in against these decks where it just has tons of things that it actually kills. And a lot of the time you're creating energy with these Grixis control decks, and you don't really have that much to do with it, if that makes sense.
Oh, yeah. In the meantime, Oliver's life total, half gone. All Gear Hulk all the time. Bang, bang. Oliver clearly flooding out and out of action here. He's got one more card left in his hand.
Now Gerry with all the answers in the world.
Yeah, Gerry has really seized control of this game, and it feels like it's going to be very difficult for Oliver to come back. And he, in fact, cannot. Even the Smuggler's Copter on the battlefield can't get crewed up and chump block for Oliver, so he's facing down lethal damage and has to extend the hand. So Gerry Thompson dispatches of the Austrian captain and improves to 4-0. Oliver's going to have to be 3-1 to start off his GP.
Oliver played that match really well, though. I mean, he maneuvered those turns such that his Smuggler's Copter stayed in play. He got a little flooded there toward the end. Had that not happened, I think that would have proved to be a big advantage for him. Gerry at 6 at the end of that game. Yep. 2 more hits from that copter, and that would have been it for Oliver. So yeah. Oliver setting himself up well there in the 3rd game, got ahead early, really looked like he was going to be able to close it out, and it just didn't come together. The control deck was able to establish control and pull through. Let's
see if that's the same thing that's going to happen here. We've got another matchup. This one's a little bit further in all directions. Both players have played an additional color from our other match, 4-color control for Alexander Hayne, and Bant Spirits rather than just blue-white for Josh. Though as we come into this game, remember, Josh was able to grind out a victory against Alex in the first game. We watched that one. So it looks like it's not going quite as well here for Josh as he's getting attacked by Gear Hulk.
I like that Dragon Master Outcast there for Alex.
I think Alex would like to have that Dragon Master Outcast as well.
Yeah. I mean, it's currently not part of the game, but it does seem like a good card for this format too, because it's not just going to get picked off by a haphazard board sweeper.
Yeah, that would have killed everything anyway. Spell Queller now for Josh. And just attack twice and kill Alex. Seems unlikely that plan's going to work.
Well, Alex, it looks like he only has 1 card left in play. He doesn't look to have a ton of energy here. Oh, well, that's a good card.
Oh, righty then. He's got another copy of Torrential Gear Hulk, which is going to put a couple of energy in his energy pool. He's going to shoot down the Spell Queller. Yes, he does control an artifact, 3 of them, in fact, which is going to put Josh down to 7 life and probably finish this, even if Josh sacrifices his Selfless Spirit That will save the 2/3 spell queller, but the unlicensed disintegration will resolve, and it will do 3 damage to Josh, even if it's not killing the spirit itself. Yeah, the second Gear Hulk is so brutal. Alex is at a relatively low 8 here. He was facing down 4 in the air before that sequence last turn, but now all of a sudden, he's the one with lots of lethal.
Yeah, and I mean, he even has the Dynavolt Tower if he needs to do something about the spell queller, like if Josh had somehow had some type of pump spell or some sort of interaction.
Oh, here's a big one. Here's Tameo, but that last card in hand for Alex is, of course, Negate, and that does it. If that Tameo were to resolve, we may have an interesting end of the game because both of the Gear Hulks would have gotten tapped down, but unfortunately for Josh, Alex was sitting on the perfect final 2 cards, Torrential Gear Hulk into Negate. And he set that up beautifully, and that means that we are going to game 3.
Torrential Gear Hulk. Is it your favorite Gear Hulk? I imagine it would be your favorite Gear Hulk.
Not remotely close. Now, I don't think it's the best Gear Hulk for limited, though. I think Noxious Gear Hulk is, and that's my favorite one for that. But if you're talking about outside the confines of 40-card decks, loving that Torrential Gear Hulk. Loving that guy.
Yeah. For the 40-card decks, I mean, we gotta love Noxious Gear Hulk, right?
Yeah, I think that's the best one. Virtuous also giving it a good run for the money, but
they're all quite good.
They are.
In the 40-card decks, I'd be happy with any of them.
Yep, you would be. But, you know, there's a huge difference between Noxious Gear Hulk and some of the lesser ones.
Yes, absolutely. 60-card decks, however, I, again, think that all of them do have some sort of application. I think they will see some play over their tenure in Standard.
Even the red one?
Maybe not. Sorry.
But the other 4.
yeah, the other 4.
I haven't seen anybody abuse the Cataclysmic Gear Hulk, that's the white one, yet in Standard. But I have seen the other 3 see play. Some of them quite extensive. Torrential Gear Hulk and Virtuous Gear Hulk had a big impact on the Pro Tour. They were in some of the better decks.
Yeah, Virtuous Gear Hulk has been incredible every time I've seen it played. And so is Torrential Gear Hulk.
Yeah,
I mean, those 2 cards, I think those are 2 of the most defining cards out of Kaladesh as far as Standard is concerned.
Yeah, and then Noxious Gear Hulk actually has made appearances in Standard as well, though in lesser numbers. So you usually be like 1 or 2, you know, between the board and the main deck. But that card's really good too. I mean, it comes down and really helps you come back from a situation that you're behind in, and that's a pretty big deal in Standard.
Have you seen the Masterpiece versions? Those beautiful, gorgeous.
Oh God, yeah.
Oh man.
I mean, I've never opened one, but I hope I do at some point.
My very close friend from childhood, his wife picked up a pack of Magic cards for him, like at the store. Just brought it home, and he got a Feast of Famine.
Nice. Really?
Yeah. He like doesn't even really play anymore.
What a jerk.
It's good. He gave it to the Cube.
Oh, he
now
did?
our Cube has one.
Oh,
yeah,
what a nice guy.
Yeah.
He redeemed himself immediately.
Just immediately.
I love this guy.
Thanks, Ben Jaffe, if you're watching at home. I'm excited about these control decks being in Standard. Something we haven't seen in a long time is really these blue-based control decks making a splash. And I was so excited to see the finals of the Pro Tour. You know, Carlos, a guy who, you know, I've been watching him play control decks in high-level matches for a very, very long time, since I was much younger, and to see him make it that deep again, playing that Jeskai control deck was so exciting. And the fact that he's playing against somebody who is, you know, one of the greatest masters in the history of the game, it's just really fun to watch. So looking forward to playing with some of this too.
Yeah, I think that when I get home from this trip, I'm going to probably bug you and a few other people about what's the best Torrential Gear Hulk list that I can play right now. And then I will assault the leagues with whatever list that is. Looks like we got a little mulligans here, maybe.
You know,
Honestly, I was looking at you, so I didn't see who mulligan or if they both did. But
oh, Joshua,
Just
I
Josh?
believe, is on the mulligan, where Alex, I think, kept 7.
did he? Did he though? This could be a really good game, by the way, Jake.
Yeah,
Game
I mean,
one was insane.
Game 1 was great, and Game 1 was the game where Joshua was on the play, and he got really far ahead, and then Alex fought his way back and did everything right, and at that last one life, Joshua, prioritized his 1-1 flyer off of the thing over his planeswalker.
Looks
and
like
won the
Alex
game.
did take a mulligan here as well. I saw him scry.
Yeah, I saw that also.
So let's see how this plays out with Josh on the play, on a mulligan, maybe even 2 mulligans, and Alex on 1. Nothing yet from Josh.
Lots of colors over there for Alex. Not all of his colors.
Okay, nice little play there from Hayne. He's going to use Harness Lightning. And even net himself a couple of... Oh, looks like...
Yeah, Joshua caught it that time.
Yeah, so that was interesting because it looked like Josh just said, okay, cool, and put his Selfless Spirit into the graveyard, but he kind of was like, no, I was actually sacrificing it to itself, which would then counter the Harness Lightning.
Got to make sure you announce that.
Yeah,
Very important.
It looked like there was just a little bit of confusion to the two about it because Josh did it so quickly, but he did clarify, no, I was actually sacrificing it to itself, and therefore you will not get the energy from the Harness Lightning.
And that's very important, especially
Yes.
considering Alex is playing, Dynavolt Tower in his deck.
Exactly. The one energy that you do see from Alex came from the Ether Hub. Lots of colors here for Alex Hayne. He can pretty much cast anything. Passes a turn back to Josh, who's going to miss a land drop here. And you got to love these anticipates when you're not under any pressure, just smoothing out your draws, hitting your lands, getting to the answers that you want. It's the turns where they go 1 drop, 2 drop, 3 drop, where you just want to tear up the stupid anticipates in your hand because you often find yourself in a position where finding time to cast them is difficult.
Yeah, the only thing you're anticipating at that point is how you're going to lose.
It's death, yeah. Here's an Evolving Wilds now for Hayne. He's not missed a land drop.
And here's that card I was excited about before.
Yeah.
This is a card that I haven't seen much of in this new standard, and I had pretty much forgotten that it was a thing. But seeing it in Alex's deck, that card just seems great right now. It seems so well positioned. And both times we've seen it, it's just been removed immediately. But
Which is very good for Alex.
yeah, I mean, it's a 1-mana thing that is forcing your opponent to pay 3 mana and use one of their best cards to get rid of.
Totally. Yeah, Dragon Master Outcast is great. If Alex controls 6 or more lands on his upkeep, he gets a free 5/5 flying dragon token. It's insane.
Yeah, every single turn you get one.
Yeah, it just keeps spitting them out. And by the time you get the second one, it's really tough for your opponent to win without a sweeper. And even the first one is often the death knell.
Yeah, and there aren't many good sweepers in Standard right now.
No, and I don't think that Josh is in the market for playing them either. Here's a Rattle Chains from Josh. Says, can I have this thing? Ooh, Alex is going to use this opportunity not to kill the Rattle Chains. He's actually just going to go for Anticipate, but he wanted to make sure that he could resolve this Torrential Gearhulk.
I like just using the Anticipate there, too. I mean, the Rattle Chains doesn't do that much by itself here.
Ether Hub for Josh. Yeah, Alex correctly realizing that Rattle Chains is cute and can enable some stuff, but when your opponent's really down on cards a lot, it's not as great. It's a 2/1 flyer. I mean, did it not even attack here?
It did not attack.
Goodness.
Yeah, that's...
Wow. He's just going to chump block with it, Jake. That's not good.
Yeah, it's about as bad as it could be.
Yeah. Josh wanting to stay at 20 life here. It's got a replacement Rattle Chains, but I think Alex probably just shrugged that one off too. Why do I care?
Yeah, and I mean, when he's already behind on cards, like by a lot, and then he starts chump blocking. And here Alex feels so comfortable that he's even using Harness Lightning when he knows he could just
Yeah, what I
ignore
see.
it.
Well, yeah, and what I see here from Alex is that he's either setting up for another gear hook at some point, or he wants to just test the waters here to see what Josh does, because like this is good information to have, right? Like this is a way that Josh could lose. Excuse me, that Alex could lose his gear hook. Would be to be like attack, and then Josh says, "Okay, I'll flash an Avis and double block. We eat your gear hook. It's gone." Now Alex gets to do this on his terms, and he gets to know what's happening here. And so he's going to take down Archangel Avison. And now look at the board. This is what great players do. Now Josh is completely tapped out, and Alex has free reign to resolve anything he wants. For example, unlicensed disintegration. And he can just start jamming with his gear hulk and just trying to close out this game as quickly as possible.
And both those unlicensed disintegrations actually dealt damage to Josh also. I mean, he's been...
Yeah, which effectively takes the clock down a full turn. That's 6 extra damage. And when you're dealing damage in chunks of 5, that's a very relevant number. Yeah, unlicensed disintegration really proving to be a very, very good card. I think that was pretty predictable, but you know, sometimes they don't find a home. That's the thing that happens sometimes with really good standard cards, is sometimes they just don't find the right spot. Here's Void Chatter for Jace, and this has to just be over, right? I mean,
yeah, I don't
Josh
know what's
is out of cards, and this just, it doesn't feel like Alex is going to relinquish his grip on this particular game. 3 cards in hand now for Josh. Now, if Josh does have an answer for the gear hook, it does slow things down considerably for Alex. That's his only threat right now. And it looks like a Spell Queller is going to be flashed into Chump Block. So, Alex, do you have a way to deal with Spell Queller? Alex says, yeah, okay. It resolves. Now I'm going to kill it. No, but wait, there's more. But wait, there's more. So that's going to do it right there. Alexander Hayne takes down the match 2-1. That was a fun match to watch. Really cool matchup. I hope we get a chance to see a little more of that. You know, as much as I like the linear decks that we do have in Standard now from a commentator and viewer perspective, I love a good grind fest too.
Oh, absolutely. I'm really excited to see new control decks, too. I mean, the thing you always dread the week after the Pro Tour is, oh, everything's just going to be something from last weekend.
Yeah.
And here we see something new, something innovative, and something cool out of one of the game's best personalities and players, Alexander Hayne.
Yeah, that was great. Tears of Valakut, by the way, was what was on the stack there. And the fight ensued, Alexander Hayne winning it. That's going to do it for round 4 here from Providence.
Support your local game store by going to Friday Night Magic. Have fun hanging out with friends, cracking new Magic packs, and playing with your favorite Kaladesh cards. Featuring devious gremlins, ingenious dwarves, and face-smashing gear hulks.
Up your game with Ultra Pro Magic the Gathering accessories. Find the best Magic art on card sleeves, deck boxes, playmats, and more. Visit ultrapro.com to learn more and find a retailer near you.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the booth. I'm Gabby Sparks, joined today by Luis Scott Vargas. What did you think was the answer for that trivia question?
Well, it wasn't my first top 8, so I guess I would not be the answer.